They laughed when he showed up in dusty boots and a torn hat. They mocked him when he asked for her hand, said a broke cowboy had no right to dream. So he rode away that night with nothing but a promise and a scarred heart. Years later, when the rich men of Silver Mesa gathered again, they heard hooves on the horizon. The same cowboy was back. But this time, he wasn't alone. And beside him rode the woman everyone thought was untouchable. His secret bride. Silver Mesa was a town that worshipped gold. The richer a man was, the more respect he owned. And Elias Boone had neither. He was a ranch hand, quiet, poor, and proud. He worked long hours breaking horses for men who barely remembered his name. But everyone knew his eyes never left one person, Clara Whitmore, the banker's daughter. She was beauty wrapped in silk, grace poured into sunlight. Whenever she passed through the marketplace, men tipped hats and mothers whispered, "That's the future Mrs. Whitmore Grant," meaning she was destined to marry the mayor's son. But one evening at the summer dance, Elias did the unthinkable. He walked across the floor, dust still on his boots, and asked her to dance. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Look at him. The stable boy thinks he's something. Her daddy'll skin him alive." But Clara smiled, took his hand, and said softly, "I'd be honored." They danced beneath the oil lamps while the band hesitated to play, scandal thick in the air. For a brief, trembling moment, the poor cowboy held the richest girl in town. When the song ended, Elias pulled her aside. "Miss Clara, I ain't got much, but I swear what I do have, I'd give you all of it." She looked into his earnest eyes. Sometimes that's all a woman needs, but not everyone saw it that way. Clara's father, Henry Whitmore, confronted Elias the next morning outside the barn. "You stay away from my daughter, boy. You're dirt beneath her boots." Elias met his glare. "Sir, I love her," Henry smirked. "Then love her from far away." By evening, word spread. Elias Boone had been fired, humiliated, and driven out of Silver Mesa. They said he rode into the desert with nothing but his saddle and a broken dream. The rich laughed. Clara cried, and the dust swallowed him whole. For 3 long years, Silver Mesa forgot Elias Boone. He became a ghost story for the working men. "Don't dream too high," they'd say, "or you'll end up like that fool cowboy." But out beyond the horizon, Elias wasn't broken. He was rebuilding. He found work with a rancher near the Mexican border, a man named Don Rafael, known for breeding wild Andalusian horses. Elias worked like a man possessed, learning languages, trade routes, and the art of horses no one could tame. Rafael saw something in him, grit, loyalty, quiet pain. "You ride like a man who's lost everything," Rafael told him. "Maybe that's why I don't fall," Elias replied. Over the years, Elias rose from stable hand to foreman. Then, when bandits attacked the ranch one night, Elias fought them off, saving Rafael's only daughter, Isabella. She was nothing like Clara, darker, fiercer, with eyes that saw straight through a man's soul. She treated his wounds, called him a fool for his bravery, and laughed like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. In the months that followed, she became his friend, then his confidant, and one moonlit night under the desert sky, his wife, but they kept it secret. Don Rafael's family name carried power, and Silver Mesa was still a place that judged by bloodlines. Isabella didn't care about titles, only truth. "Someday," she told him, "we'll ride into your old town and they'll choke on their laughter." He smiled. "I don't want revenge," she grinned. "Then let's call it closure." It was the spring of 1889 when the dust rose again on Silver Mesa's main road. The townsfolk heard hooves, 2 horses riding steady and proud. The first rider was lean, confident, dressed in fine but rugged leather. The second, veiled beneath a wide-brimmed hat, sat tall, elegance wrapped in mystery. When they stopped in front of the Whitmore Bank, every face turned to stare. Old Henry Whitmore came out squinting. "You, Elias Boone?" Elias tipped his hat. "Still remember me, sir?" The crowd murmured. He didn't look poor anymore. His boots were polished, his hat new, and the horse beneath him pure white Andalusian. Henry sneered. "You've got nerve coming back here. What do you want?" "Not much," Elias said calmly. "Just a fair chance to pay my debts." He reached into his coat and tossed a folded paper onto the steps. A deed. Henry unfolded it. His jaw dropped. It was the title to half of Silver Mesa's largest ranch, the same one Henry had tried to buy for years. I bought it from the man who raised me up, Elias said. Don Rafael. Maybe you've heard of him, whispers swept the crowd. Don Rafael was a legend. His horses worth fortunes. Henry's lips tightened. So you found yourself a rich master, huh? Elias smiled faintly. No, sir. I found myself a partner. At that, the veiled woman dismounted. When she lifted her hat, the town went silent. Her face was radiant, her eyes sharp. Henry blinked. Who is she? Elias took her hand proudly. My wife. The crowd gasped. Isabella smiled sweetly. Senor Whitmore, my father sends his regards and a letter. He's quite proud of his new son-in-law. Henry's arrogance cracked like dry wood. You married Don Rafael's daughter? Yes, sir, Elias said, his voice calm but firm. The poor cowboy your town laughed at. The silence that followed was long, heavy, and unforgettable. Then, Clara appeared at the door, now pale, older, and trapped in a loveless marriage to the mayor's son. Her eyes met Elias's, the air between them thick with things never said. He gave her a sad smile. You were my reason once. But I learned something, Clara. Love built on pride ain't love at all. Isabella squeezed his hand, and they mounted their horses. As they rode away, people bowed their heads, and not from shame, but respect. Silver Mesa had witnessed something rare. A man rise without vengeance, without cruelty, only dignity. They rode until Silver Mesa disappeared behind a wall of dust. Elias exhaled slowly, as if releasing years of pain into the wind. Isabella watched him quietly, her hair whipping across her face. You did it, she said softly. You faced your ghosts, he smiled. Didn't feel like revenge. It wasn't. It was truth. They stopped by the ridge overlooking the valley, the same one where he'd once camped, broke and alone. Now he looked out with his bride beside him and the world at his feet. Isabella dismounted and leaned into him. You think they'll remember? He nodded. They'll remember that the poor cowboy came back rich in ways they'll never understand. She laughed gently. In heart? In peace, he said. They made camp beneath the stars. Elias pulled from his saddlebag a small music box, tarnished, old. Found it in my mother's chest years ago, he said. Never had anyone to share it with till now. He wound it. The melody danced softly through the desert, haunting, beautiful. Play that again, Isabella whispered. I want to remember this sound when we're old. Old. Elias teased. Darlin', we're already halfway there. They laughed together, the kind of laugh that heals wounds deeper than words. As dawn broke, Isabella rested her head on his chest. So what now, cowboy? He gazed at the rising sun. We ride home. Wherever that is, she smiled. Wherever we are. Years later, they called it the Ride of Redemption. Travelers passing through Silver Mesa still spoke of the poor cowboy who returned with a bride of power and grace, but who never boasted, never took revenge, never stayed. Elias and Isabella built a ranch deep in the hills of Sonora. They raised horses that ran like poetry, fast, free, untamed. Sometimes young men came seeking lessons. Elias would tell them, don't chase pride. It'll make you forget who you are. Work hard, stay humble, love honest, and let the world laugh. One day they'll run out of breath before you do. When he died years later, Isabella buried him beneath a lone mesquite tree, where the sunset painted the earth gold. She carved into the stone. He left with nothing. He returned with everything that mattered. They mocked his dreams. They laughed at his love. But the poor cowboy didn't need their gold. He needed purpose, and found it in the arms of the woman who saw his worth. This is more than a Western. It's a reminder. Never let small minds tell you how big your heart can be. If this story touched you, share it. Because sometimes the richest man isn't the one with land or gold, it's the one who rides back with peace in his soul. And love beside him on the trail,